Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast.
Yes.
This is Real Talk with Matt
and Carrie.
Boom, let's go.
Yes.
Hey, Knuckles. Yeah.
You know what we're doing Knuckles for? We
Tell
have successfully recorded a podcast every Monday for like 4 weeks.
Come on.
I am proud of us.
That's pretty exciting.
It is. That's a big deal for us.
It is a big deal for us. You know, typically we get caught up being so busy with everything and really just busy with life that we think that maybe.
Or we just don't make it a priority.
Right. Well, that's the real thing. We just don't make it a priority.
Yeah.
But today we've got some exciting stuff that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, what are we starting off with?
Today we are talking about the title of this podcast is Agree to Disagree.
Ooh, baby.
A little salty Monday morning chats. Agree to disagree. Because remember, at Real Talk, we like to talk about, real things.
Real things that people are really talking about in relationship. Not always in marriage.
Not always.
But relationships in general. And so today, we're going to talk about the idea of agreeing to disagree.
Yeah.
And addressing the question, can you disagree and still be friends?
Yeah, and still get along. So we started to think about what do we disagree with each other about. And we disagree about a few things.
We do disagree on a lot.
For instance,
not on a lot, but on some things we really disagree on.
Our coffee style.
Yes.
Is very
different. Oh my gosh.
I mean, you drink black coffee, Americanos.
The glory of black coffee. It's bitter. It's tasty. It's warm. Oh man.
And I prefer creamer.
With a splash of coffee.
No.
Yes.
No, I've cut back significantly. And I don't even really like lattes and stuff
Guys,
anymore.
listen, her order is coffee with 4 creams.
No, that's at McDonald's.
Okay, so McDonald's coffee, let's just say, because McDonald's coffee, contrary to popular belief, is bomb. I don't know if you know this, but $1 cup of coffee, $1 for a large. She gets it with 5 creams and 5 Splendas.
4 creams and 4 Splendas. See, I've cut back. 4 creams and 4 Splendas.
Oh, wow.
It's so good.
I'd love to hear how you drink your coffee.
Yeah.
With cream, with Splenda, with sugar. Let us know. We disagree adamantly. But
we disagree.
We still have cups of coffee together, don't we?
We disagree on snoozing. Well, I've kind of turned you over to the dark side of snoozing.
Yeah, listen, I typically snooze. If I set an alarm, I typically snooze 1 time.
Yep, I've won that argument.
You snooze 10 times. I snooze once.
Not anymore.
Okay.
We've kind of come to a nice...
We still disagree. It's not a balance. Don't even come...
We've come to a balance.
Don't lie to people.
Then the other thing that we realize we disagree on is how we eat our pizza.
Yes, we absolutely disagree on this.
We have come to a compromise where we get half and half.
We do.
So you like your pizza.
I like sausage and onion.
And I like pepperoni and green olive.
Yes.
So we get half sausage and onion, half pepperoni and green
That's
olive.
right.
And
That's
it's
right.
a happy day at the Erickson house.
It is a happy day at the Erickson house.
So what we're saying here is there are ways to be happy.
And continue on in relationships, even when you disagree on some things. And obviously, we're being silly, talking about coffee and snooze buttons and pizza. But there are some real issues that we're facing culturally that we're seeing as becoming pretty major issues and being a dividing line in relationship where people are beginning to believe that if we don't agree, then we can't be friends or we can't be in relationship, or maybe we've grown apart in such a way that we can't continue on. And we just want to present the idea that we think that's a lie.
Yeah.
And really, as believers, we believe that there's a plan of God for your life or a plan from the enemy for your life. And we believe that division is always a plan of the enemy, okay?
And it's come to a point in our world right now where people are trying to be divisive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's an intentional thing, but God's way is always unity.
Right.
But we think that unity means we have to agree on everything, and we're brainwashed, and we all think that that's not it.
So what is unity?
Well, I think unity is agreeing to disagree.
Unity is absolutely agreeing to disagree. Yeah. Unity is deciding that we're going to order half sausage and onion and half pepperoni and green olive.
And if a little bit of your onion gets on my sauce, on my pepperoni and green olive, I can just pick it off.
Right.
It doesn't ruin my pizza.
It doesn't ruin your pizza.
Or my
It doesn't
day.
ruin your night. It doesn't ruin anything. And also, we can sit down and have a cup of coffee. Your cup of coffee is 4 cream, 4 Splenda.
Yep.
Mine is black,
Yep.
right? And we can sit down and enjoy one another's company while enjoying the unique gift of our coffee.
Yeah, the
with
way I
one
like
another.
it,
the way you like it, and I don't have to sit there and talk the whole time about how disgusting your coffee is.
That's right.
Do I believe that her coffee is disgusting? Absolutely.
You've never tried it.
Does she? Yes, I have. Does she believe that my coffee is disgusting?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But she knows that I enjoy it, so she lets me roll with it.
Yeah.
I know she enjoys it, so I let her roll with it.
Yeah.
We agree to disagree, and we move forward anyway. Of course, again, we know that these are silly examples.
But the same rules apply.
The same rules always apply, if you can just purpose it in your heart.
Well, because we started to ask the question, how many relationships have we and others sacrificed for the right to be right?
Yeah.
Where being right has been more important to us than valuing other people and valuing relationships.
And I think that's such a good question. I think that most of us are so insecure in who we are that we're validated in our rightness.
Yeah.
So we value us being right over the fact that we value having a relationship. And so I think that what we need to begin to do is value people over our opinion to be right.
Yeah, which is not a popular opinion.
It's not a popular opinion, and it's not easy to do.
No, it's not.
Especially if you're operating from a place of insecurity.
Yeah. So a couple of things that we kind of have some ideas that we want to talk about today is how do we move forward in a relationship with people who do not always agree with us? And do we move forward in relationship?
Can we move
forward in relationship? I think there's a couple types of people. And I don't know.
What does some of that look like?
Well, I think we'd have to think about that. Like, obviously, we might choose to hang around with people who have certain things in common with us. Like you have to decide what is important in those relationships.
What are the non-negotiables of these relationships, right?
Or am I the type of person who only surrounds myself with people who believe what I believe, who look like me, who sound like me, who want to do the same things as me? That seems like such a limiting...
It's a small world.
It is a small world.
It's a small world. And so I think that's the thing that maybe we would want to lean into for just a second. Or there are two groups of people, we think.
Yeah.
The type of people that will only surround themselves with people that believe like they do, think like they do, talk like they do, walk like they do, look like they do.
Live where they live, all that kind of stuff.
Or the type of people that are trying to be so like progressive that all they try to do is surround themselves with people that aren't like them and don't look like them, don't act like them.
Just aggravating people intentionally.
And that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
So you've embraced an extreme on one end or the other, and really what you need to do, we think, in order to move forward in relationship is come center.
Yeah.
Find the balance between those two.
And that's hard though for people who are really opinionated.
Yeah, it is. Which we both know because we're both very opinionated.
Yeah, we are. But I mean, for our case and circumstance, we've tried to surround ourselves with all types of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that we've intentionally done that, but it's just the way that we live. I mean, we just have different areas of life that we're around different people. And we've recently, I would say in the last, 6 years since we've moved here, that has gotten more pronounced and bigger as we've loved people more. Yeah. As we've placed value on people more rather than thinking that our way is the right way and we have to do things a certain way.
And I think that with that, like there are some values that we hold near and dear that are non-negotiable for us, right? But we don't limit our relationships or our friendships based on that.
Yeah.
If we can have relationship and friendship based on the fact that, hey, we like each other, we can move, feel like we can move forward. We don't have to always all believe the same thing.
So what we say and what we kind of try to align ourselves with is that we want to be for what we're for.
Yeah.
And we want to celebrate the things that unite us rather than constantly focusing on the things that divide us.
For instance, I'm going to talk about how I love just a black Americano. You know what I mean? Like no cream, no sugar, no Splenda. Like that's what I enjoy. Like if somebody, hey, what do you enjoy? This is what I enjoy. But I don't do it in a way that makes Carrie feel bad about the fact that she has to have 4 cream and 4 Splenda in her coffee.
And if I don't, I go back.
I don't get on Facebook and post about how, because she chooses to take 4 cream and 4 Splenda, she doesn't care about my life, and she doesn't, she doesn't see things right, and she doesn't value certain things. Or guys, that's not what we're about. And I don't think that that's what people in general who are pursuing relationship with somebody should be about.
We can both just celebrate the fact that we like coffee.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And so we want to think about this in the context of a few different places, right? So the first one is in a marriage or I'll say romantic relationship, right? Because some people are dating or they're engaged or whatever. But
right. You young ladies have found the boy of your dreams, and you young men have found the
woman.
The young woman of your dreams. And so you feel like maybe it's time to take that next step. And so this is something that can be helpful for you.
Yeah, because one of the things that was early on in our relationship where we realized quickly that we were both pursuing Jesus, but we did it differently.
Yeah.
And that
talk about
that used to bother me because, and we've talked about this a little bit, but we could celebrate the fact that, and we didn't at the time.
No,
and we've learned.
No.
We're both pursuing Jesus
because we both thought that our way was right.
Our way was
the
right.
only way.
Yeah, and so we were very judgmental towards the other one because they didn't appear to be doing it correctly.
Yeah,
and so we had to really learn how to understand that what works for you doesn't necessarily work for me, and what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you, but we can come together on the fact that we're both pursuing Jesus.
Right.
And so in a relationship, like a lot of people used to tell us that we had to pray together. Like that was like the seedbed of a good marriage. And that didn't always work.
No,
we've had seasons where we've prayed together.
But initially we tried it and we just thought, this is really weird.
Yeah, because you prayed too long.
Oh, you better shut up. Guys,
and
I'm telling you, she's the one.
When can I talk?
No, she's the one that's super spiritual. She'll pray and read and sing, and I'm like,
it didn't work.
Okay, it just didn't work, okay? It did not work. But
we found a way to come together and talk about what God was telling each of us individually.
Yeah.
Without we don't pray together very much.
No.
Some people can, and it works for them.
Some people who are married, they pray together every day. They pray together, multiple times a day. There have been seasons where we've prayed together, like we've sat down and God and prayed together. Now we pray for each other,
right?
But we don't necessarily always pray together.
Well, because I love the morning.
I don't love the morning.
After 8 o'clock, I'm done.
Yeah,
I can't think.
8 o'clock p.m.
8 o'clock p.m.
8 o'clock p.m.
Yeah, p.m.
Most days.
But
some days 8 o'clock a.m. you're done.
I can't think straight in the evening, and you don't really think straight in the morning. So we had to kind of come center on that.
And so what we do is we found, okay, that's the rhythm that works for us. My way is not right and hers wrong. She's not right and I'm wrong. We're both right.
Right.
And because we're both right, we can both celebrate, and I can be what I'm for. Be for what I'm for. Okay, I'm gonna pursue the Lord in the evening. She's gonna do it in the morning, and that's fine. But what we've done is found a common ground in that where, hey, I really feel like the Lord's telling me this, or I read this today. I think you should take a look at it, or I think you find this interesting.
Yeah.
That way we both keep each other accountable
right.
in the things that we're believing together, but we're still able to stay for what we're for rather than being so for what I'm for that I'm against what she's for.
Well, and hopefully you're kind of seeing a rhythm here where it's like each of us are unique, and we're going to have different rhythms and different opinions, and that's okay, but we do have to understand, like especially in friendships now, what are the non-negotiables? Like what are the things that I'm not going to say, okay, we're too different, we just don't get along.
Right.
But you get along. We get along with lots of people who aren't Christians.
It's okay for every friend you have not to be your best friend.
Yeah, that's
okay.
true.
That's okay.
That is true.
There are going to be some
friendly
friends
and
that
kind.
just rise to the top.
Yeah.
You're going to have more in common. You're going to have a tighter knit bond because of that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't discredit the friendships that you have with everybody else.
And we both have acquaintances and friends who aren't in church right now.
Oh, yeah.
They're not necessarily pursuing this. Our days look a lot different, and that's okay.
Our lives look a lot different, and that's okay. Our beliefs look a lot different. Our political views look a lot different, and we're still friendly. We're still cordial. We still speak. We still, I'm thinking of a lot of people that we've been around over the years, in through the life of our kids,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
And man, we just are friends with people from every different walk of life.
Yeah.
And I've never felt the need to tell them how wrong they are.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like I'm right.
And I always look at, okay, how does Jesus do this? Because obviously as believers, we want to know that he's our example. Mm-hmm. And I was just reading, I think it was in Mark, where he goes and he has dinner with, the tax collectors and the sinners and the prostitutes, and they didn't believe what he believed. They weren't like him. They didn't do what he did, but he still spent time with them and still found a way to love on them and be for them and make sure they felt cared for and valued. And I think that's the thing, we can be respectful and honoring towards people. Yeah. Because that's what it's about. It's about people. It's not about your right to be right.
That's so good.
And I think that has shown up even more so culturally right now on social media.
Yeah, and that's one area that we kind of want to dig into a little bit, because the whole this whole idea started over a post that I saw. Specifically, somebody posted about having COVID anxiety.
Right.
And I'm not personally experiencing COVID anxiety.
Right.
Okay. I don't, I've had some really close friends who have been down for several days, experiencing some of the worst of of coronavirus.
Right.
But I don't have a
fear of going out and being around people.
And so here's the thing. If I wanted to operate in my right to be right, or let my voice or opinion be heard, I would get on social media and I would start to trumpet, oh, it's fake news, fake virus, fake this, fake that. But the reality is, the virus is real. Mm-hmm. What it's doing to people is real, okay? Do I agree or believe that some of the things have maybe been embellished, or that the media is playing into fear? Yes, I do, okay? But I'm not going to make a huge stance and post around the fact that this is what I believe, because the reality is, I've got friends on my friends list that I saw, okay? And they're experiencing anxiety. Mm-hmm. So what I need to do is I need to be somebody who is, okay, I'm for what I'm for, and I'm for people and relationships first,
right,
okay?
Right.
And so if this person is experiencing COVID anxiety, then I need to be mindful of that and not try to use it as an opportunity for me to then prove my point.
Right.
And I'm going to leave a comment and say, oh, well, this is all fake anyway.
Stupid.
No,
that
is ridiculous, and no greater way to drive a wedge between relationships than that.
And I think about it the way that we talk about marriage and communication is, if you tell me I'm feeling anxious, the worst thing you can do as a spouse is say that's stupid.
Yeah.
You would never do that to people that you talk to in person. So, well, hopefully. So why would you feel it's okay to do it behind the comfort of a screen?
Yeah, we hear this term keyboard warrior all the time.
Yeah, man, we have an opportunity
person,
to
right?
say, hey, I'm so sorry you're feeling anxious.
Because the reality, this individual is a teacher.
Right,
okay?
She is a teacher,
and so they're going back to school this week, and they said, hey, listen, I was up early this morning, having these feelings and thoughts of anxiety over going back to school. And here's the deal. You're watching this right now, and you might feel 100 different ways about going back to school. Can I tell you something? something, be for what you're for.
Yeah.
If you want to homeschool your kids, be for homeschooling. Don't be against everybody choosing to send their kids back to school.
Right.
Don't be against the governors or the mayors or the superintendents of schools that are making decisions based on their world. Because here's the deal. Like in our city, the superintendent is making a decision based on 42,000 students.
Right.
Okay? Right. And they're thinking in terms of poverty levels. They're thinking in terms of getting kids meals.
Mental health.
They're thinking in terms of mental health. They're thinking in terms of special education.
Yeah.
You're thinking in terms of your 2 kids that you have at your house.
Right.
Okay, so it's easy to sit over here. We've got 4 kids, and it's easy for us to sit over here and make a decision for our family that's best for us and judge based on our information, but not based on theirs. Okay,
right, that's good.
And so let's be fair to people, and that's the same with anything. Okay, even in our marriage, like you make a decision based on the way that you grew up. You make a decision based on the way that you feel or the way that you've always known things, and I sit over here and judge it based on my unique circumstance. That's not fair, right? Yeah. And so what it does is it drives a wedge, but it's also really off-putting when you start to, somebody, the superintendent, for instance. I'm gonna talk about our superintendent because, again, had to make a decision based on 42,000 students. An impossible decision. You're never going to please everybody.
That none of us would want to make.
And so all of the keyboard warriors have come out and attack and opposition and protests and picket lines and all of these things. Guys, listen. Stand for what you're for.
Right.
Okay? Stand for what you're for, but let's try to come alongside people, find a common ground and say, hey, I wonder how I can help you.
Yeah.
You know what? If you feel that strongly about homeschooling or remote learning, maybe you could step up and help entertain some other families who maybe don't feel like they have an option. You're maybe a stay-at-home mom and you can be with your kids. Maybe you provide 3 other slots for a mom that has to go to work, that she can't stay at home.
Right.
Maybe you find a way to be the answer and the solution rather than perpetuating the problem by trying to stand for what you're against. Okay, let's be people who are for what we're for,
and acknowledging that people are probably doing the best they can. I think that's always a good assumption. And you know what? We may be wrong. I'm sure there are people out there that are just out there to be spiteful and angry, but we're going to assume that people are doing the best that they can.
Can you really? I literally cannot think of one person that I've ever met that has thought, you know what? I'm going to make this decision because I think it's the worst interest of everybody involved. Right. I think this is the worst thing that we could possibly do for everybody involved, so I'm going to make this decision.
Right. We just got to go with it.
Listen, and if you want to make those decisions, then do me a favor, plant the church, run for office. You know what I'm saying?
Get in the arena.
Put your application, put your resume in for an opportunity to get into the arena and make those decisions, because the Lord knows we need qualified people to help make good decisions in the best interest of everybody. And if you feel like you're qualified, please do it. Please do it. Yeah. But let's be people in the midst of that who are for what we're for.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's
agree to disagree.
That's kind of what we want to talk about today. We want to be people who are for what we're for. We want to be able to be people who can agree to disagree and still have strong relationship.
And
because our marriage is going 20 years strong.
Yeah.
And we still have not made a decision to agree on coffee, pizza, or the snooze button.
Right. And I don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening. Listen, guys, we love you. Thanks for taking a few minutes to listen here today.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with another episode of Real Talk with Matt
and Carrie.
We'll see you.